Aloha. Oh, couldn't be better, Susie. Thank you for asking. That's great. Really, sincerely, couldn't be better. We've had lots of bill signings this time, and very happily so. Many of the legislators here today have been to these other bill signings as well. And not only did we have them individually, but we've had some group signings like we're going to have today. And again, many of the legislators here today have been there as well, along with department heads and interested parties. But I can tell you that as we near the end of the bill signing and legislative session, really, because that's what it comes down to. When the session ends and all the bills have to come up for signing and review, so the session really comes up to this time, this week rather. It's a wonderful opportunity to reflect then on the overall work product, which I think is excellent, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in energy, whether it's in education. And today then, we're talking about rebuilding our financial reserves. And I will tell you this, no offense to anybody and anything of that which I just mentioned and referred to, because it's all very important, including the Humane Society signing that we did. Very, very important. Especially if I have the support of Senator Clayton He's dog. I mean, you cannot beat that, right? For positive support. But today, let me tell you, is a fabulous day. I would have said it's a red letter day if we weren't in the black, and we are. But today is something special. Today, officially, when this is over, we will no longer be a pay-as-you-go state. I want to repeat that. Today, officially, when these bills are signed, we will no longer be a pay-as-you-go state. We are reaching out as a result of the coordination and collaboration and cooperation of the legislature to move past the goal to the reality of moving our state onto a path to deal with long-term unfunded liabilities that have not only gone unaddressed for decades in the state, but I think is going to set an example perhaps for the entire nation. Hawaii, once again, as we did in so many things, employer-based health care, and our labor laws and collective bargaining and so many things, civil rights. We're taking a pioneer path. Think about it. No longer a pay-as-you-go state. It's a real game changer. I'm so happy with the idea. That phrase gets tossed around, game changing. But this is changing the game. This is changing the basis for it. We'll be among the only states, if maybe the only state in the country, that have a statutorily required mandated funding, moving toward 100% pre-funding of post-employment benefit liabilities. It's a clear message to our financial institutions in the state and financial determiners throughout the country in terms of credit rating, in terms of investment in Hawaii, that we take seriously, very seriously, building our financial capabilities to meet all of our financial requirements. And the legislators in the room today will be in turn representing all of those in the legislature who understood this. The leadership in the legislature collectively is something to be noted and is worthy of applause. They understood, I think this administration understood, that we were going to have to make tough decisions and hard choices. And that's what we've done. And I say we in that regard. And I couldn't be prouder of the opportunity as governor to sign these bills and to recognize that the effort that we've made to come to grips with what was a real crisis in the immediate in terms of our deficit, and a real crisis in the medium and long run in terms of our unfunded liabilities. These fundamental elements of good government, of sound planning, have now been addressed completely and fully. And to get to the details then about why we're no longer a pay-as-you-go state. The Hurricane Relief Fund, 1092, appropriating $50 million in general funds to recapitalize the Hurricane Relief Fund. We had to go into the Hurricane Relief Fund, the Rainy Day Fund, in order to pay our bills. We were on the verge of facing some of the same difficulties as other states are facing right now, even to the point that in some jurisdictions, bonds are on the market in order to pay operating expenses. I mean, this is the desperate nature of some of the conditions faced by other states right now because of the failure to come to grips with the question of unfunded liabilities and other financial obligations. It pays back the borrowed money. It's not fully completed yet. We're on the path to doing that for the full restoration. This is our down payment on repaying the fund. SB 1094, the Emergency Budget and Reserve Fund, the Rainy Day Fund. Again, $50 million into the recapitalizing the Rainy Day Fund. We're meeting the obligations that are required of us in order to get back on track with the borrowing that we had to do to face our immediate crisis in 2010 and 11. Then HB546, the Employer Union Health Benefits Trust Fund, what's known as EUTF. Think about it, Employer Union Health Benefits Trust Fund. That literally says it all. We're talking about what we do as a state with regard to the obligations we have towards our employees and meeting those obligations, and at the same time dealing with those obligations in the context of a trust fund that the taxpayers overall, public and privately employed alike, can have faith in, can put their trust in. It requires the annual employer contributions to equal the amount determined by our actuaries beginning in 2018 and 19. It holds the state and county governments accountable for the contribution. It establishes a phase-in schedule, which is what we're doing with the Rainy Day Fund, the Hurricane Fund, all of these liabilities. We don't have the cash to be able to fully fund it like that in one jump, in one bite. We've been taking it in jumps and bites, and now we're paying it back on a regularized routine that investors and financial analysts, creditors, those who determine what our credit rating will be able to see with transparency and clarity as to exactly what we're doing, how we're going to do it, when we're going to do it, what our rate is going to be. And we've committed ourselves to it. It establishes, I say, this phase-in schedule, and establishes as well a task force to say, can we do this better? How can we meet these obligations and make certain that we keep to our word? So we're not just passing it and saying, then hoping for the best. On the contrary, we intend to analyze ourselves as we go along. I give credit. There's veteran legislators that have been involved in this, that understand that this goes past the time that we'll be here, some of us, and young legislators just coming into it who understood that they were going to have to take responsibility in years and even perhaps decades to come to make sure that we manage our responsibilities. They represent all these bills in the return to good fiscal management and paying debts, making sure that we take responsibility. This is our kuleana. We have responsibility here, and it's been shirked up to this point for all kinds of reasons. It's not bad people or bad motives. There was always, everything seemed like a good idea at the time. It's what I call the Sammy Davis approach. Remember when Sammy Davis, I can remember, so I'm looking around the room, some of you aren't going to remember, but Sammy Davis was asked at one time, how could you do that? You know what he'd done? He hugged Richard Nixon. And there was a picture of it, right? It's not like today with, got it on my iPhone, right? Out to the world, 50 million repeats of it. But there he was in papers all around the country hugging Richard Nixon, right? And of course all the good Democrats in the country, how could you do that? Richard Nixon is the enemy. How could you possibly hug Richard Nixon? And Sammy Davis Levy said, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So everything was done, with good motivations and so on. But the end result was that we put ourselves in the hole. And so now, let me tell you, this is Sammy Davis on the good side, right? Because what we're doing is we're hugging our responsibilities. We're hugging our obligations and saying, yes, we accept this. Not only do we accept it, but here's how we're going to handle it. So there won't be any furlough Fridays. We're not borrowing and delaying taxpayer refunds. All the tricks, layoffs, doing ballet with the books to try and make it seem that we were in better financial shape than we actually were. No tricks. No smoke, no mirrors. This is the real thing. We've ended all those practices, and we're going to make our payments on time and in amounts that show that we're serious. Speaking a little bit more deeply on the Employer Union Trust Fund, as of July 1st, the liability is $18.9 billion. We're not talking chump change here. We're talking about serious numbers, and that includes the counties as well. So this is in addition to the employer retirement fund with regard to the retirement liabilities that we have. So this puts the county and the state in statute with a requirement to pay. So it's a serious effort all around. I will tell you this then, in conclusion. Again, I've mentioned the legislature. I've mentioned legislators and the legislature as a whole, and people in the room here has helped us to do this. But there has been one person who has been a counsel to me on this, a steady voice, a sober voice, a relentlessly irritating voice in my ear, and that's been our finance director, budget and finance director, Calbert Young. And Calbert, I'd like you to come up if you would, and if you have a few words to say on this, in as much as I've heard them all over and over again, perhaps you could share them with everybody here.
Thank you, Governor. These three bills in combination represent the culmination up to this point of what I consider part of the Abercrombie administration's serious measures and objective to return the state to financial and fiscal stability. It not only reassures investors, taxpayers, and institutions out there that the state of Hawaii is serious about all of its financial liabilities and obligation, but it provides proof to the pudding that we are willing and have demonstrated fortitude to commit to addressing those financial shortfalls. A sign of sound fiscal management and health of any organization is strong reserves. Just like with our own personal individual households, we try and build up savings for when the hard times come. The state has been remiss and challenged in trying to build its fiscal reserves. The two bills here that the governor will sign today will restore about $100 million in funds to the two formal reserves of the state. But that's in addition to what the legislature has already provided in the budget as well, of another $55 million in each of the next two fiscal years into the Hurricane Relief Fund. So the state is committing as much as $200+ million in the next biennium to see that its fiscal reserves are built up. Also on House Bill 546, as the governor mentioned, this is a serious piece of nationally important piece of legislation that is a game changer for the state of Hawaii. Hawaii has historically proven and ranked very poorly in comparison to other states for its unfunded liabilities in health fund benefits and pension funding. But this bill will put Hawaii as the only state in the country that has a mandated, statutorily required funding course that will put the state and all of its counties at 100% pre-funding within the next 6 years. That is a significant measure with national implications that should move Hawaii up in terms of its rankings with other states. It's also very significant because it sends a message again to investors and credit agencies in particular, who have been very critical of the state of Hawaii for not having shown more fortitude in addressing its unfunded liabilities for health benefits for the past several decades. This is the first legislature and the first administration that has been successful to get anything done collaboratively to address this major problem. And so with that, I want to extend my gratitude and thankfulness to the legislators and the legislature over the last 3 years. It's been a very good working relationship, and we've had many challenges to try and find a solution that would be affordable and can be implemented by the state. And I think we found a measure.
Politically acceptable.
That goes without saying too, right? I think we found it in 546, and the future successes for the state of Hawaii as a result of this bill is going to be largely attributable to all of our abilities to work together. So with that, I thank you, Governor, thank you, legislators, and look forward to the future for Hawaii with this bill.
So thank you very much, Calvert. Really terrific. I want to stay here. I want you to stay here. So I think that it's clear on the domestic front that this is a topic of national attention. And to be able to say with certainty and finality and with confidence that we're no longer a pay-as-you-go state, will not be a pay-as-you-go state, that this addresses that topic and the national attention, I think, that will go with it in the most positive fashion. So with that, I'm going to get my chair and actually give something, Calvert, practical to do by helping me get it and set here, and then ask the legislators that I have effusively praised to this point, and rightly so, to come up and join us as well for the signatures that are going to go here. Please. I know Carl's here and Romy's here. Good. There we are. And Susie's going to represent the Senate.
How about the ERS chair and the ETF chair also? Yeah.
Yes, see, I told you, he's always in my ear. I was about to say, because...
I get mad at him again.
No, I'm never mad at him. The ERS has to be represented up here, and the EUTF. Please, come on. Come on, you guys. Come on, everybody, Louis. Everybody in EUTF and the ERS. I haven't said a word.
For the Insurance Commission.
Yes, and I'm getting to it. And Gordon, I want to blame you too. Come on. We're doing good so far.
Yes.
I haven't said a word about hedge fund investment, have I, so far, right? Okay. Because obviously we have to have excellent people then who are overseeing the investments that are made here, and in order to try to secure the necessary funding so that we can meet the obligations that we're now going to mandate for ourselves. And so I'm very, very grateful to those who are completely unsung, generally unknown until a disaster hits, and then who are sought out for commentary and opinion only in extremis. So the fact that we're taking these steps today, I think, will serve to back up and support those folks who are serving us with the retirement system and with the healthcare benefit trust fund in a way that is the most practical way that we can address not just the issues, but address support for them. So, in no particular order then, I'm going to sign first SB 1094, because these are all of a piece. SB 1094, which will become Act 267, which makes an appropriation to the Emergency and Budget Reserve Fund. Next, SB 1092, which will become Act 266, making an appropriation to recapitalize the Hurricane Reserve Trust Fund. And finally, HB546, Act 268, relating to the Hawaii Employer Union Health Benefits Trust Fund, EUTF. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in business. So, let's memorial. If we can push this chair back and turn it around underneath the symbol, and we'll take all the bills. Romy, come up here. Come on, stand up here with that. Susie, Carl, Calvert, everybody. Colbert here. Oh, come on, Calvert, get in there. Everybody get in the picture, no hide. If this doesn't work, I gotta have somebody to blame.
It'll work.
I see, you see what I said in my ear from Calvert? It'll work.
Actually, that was Representative Rhodes.
Oh, Representative Rhodes. Okay, all right. All right.
He's got the guarantee.
Representative Rhodes was channeling.
Yeah, right here. 1, 2, and 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
And one right here. 1, 2, 3. Great, thanks.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Governor.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, mine.
Way to go, we're on our way.
So we got the,
Oh, great. Good. Great. Louis, thanks for everything, terrific. Susie, this is, oh, yes. Yeah, I do want to say before I go, that I suspect that both the House and the Senate will have, press releases of their own on this. Senator Ige and Representative Liu. We obviously could not have accomplished this. Yes, the whole legislature for sure, but the leadership on this in terms of the Finance Committee and the Ways and Means Committee is absolutely without peer. We simply could not have accomplished these things without them, and despite the many legislative burdens they had to carry and a lot of the controversies that were associated with so many of the other bills, these measures were addressed soberly, seriously, expeditiously, without a whole lot of fanfare, because they understood the serious implications that were involved, and I'm very, very grateful to both of them. And as I say, I'm certain that any reference to them will probably come in the form of releases themselves as to their evaluation of the importance of the bills. But I want to emphasize on the record how important I think the work that they did was, and how positive it will be for the future of the people of the state of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you.